Okay, so the next step with your still life here is that we're going to be playing with building up lots of value variation. And we're going to start understanding some basic terminology around that. And if you don't already, because you should have had this in the last assignment, is you need a really strong light source on your still life. So I'm going to put that in this part of the assignment directions as well. But you need to have this strong still life. And you're going to be using multiple graphite pencils, 2B, 4B, 6B, and 8B, and start building those various values. Again, 2B is lighter, and as you get higher in the numbers, it gets darker. And yeah, and you know, you're going to really build these value variations. So let's talk about value. So first of all, understanding the light source, and that's what we kind of talked about last tutorial. But first, you know, right now, understanding where that highlight is, where the, you know, the half tones, the shadow, the core of the shadow, where the shadow is, and where the reflected light is. Then you've got your cast shadow, and you have, but what's important, and kind of like what I was talking about last time, is seeing those very subtle value variations. See how these aren't, they're not so dramatically different. There's subtle shifts from one value to the next, and that's what makes something really realistic seeming. So that this is another kind of example of seeing, you know, understanding where that light source is and kind of what that shadow is going to look like. So the shadow is going to be dependent on where the light source is. So if it's placed in front, above, on side, I'm having you place your shadow to the right or to the left of your still life. So this is another example of, this is a figure, but it's the same idea. A figure can be broken down into basic geometric shapes as well. So you've got your highlight, halftone, your reflected light, your core shadow, and your cast shadow. So the cast shadow is what's happening outside of your object or figure, where it's you know, you're also going to be looking for the darkest part where there's no light hitting, and this is happening over here as well. So let's take a look. So as you build up your values, you start to really kind of create more three-dimensionality. And then let's take a look at this one, because I think, whoops, we've got another one over here. And I'm showing you some diverse still lifes, and this is going to inspire you for the next assignment. But I really want to see these built up, very detailed with the graphite. And it's going to take a while. But here's what I want you to keep in mind. These are not outlines here on, except I do see one outline over here. But in general, I'm seeing planes of value that are creating the edges of objects as opposed to, so for example, this is not an outline, this is a plane of value that creates the edge of an object. Same over here. This value determines these edges as opposed to outlines. Same with all the value variations. So really building strong value variations. So let's take a look. Oops. Let's take a look here. Now this is an interesting complex still life idea, having something hanging and having a direct light source on that object. Again, we're dealing with lots of shifts in value and value variations, and there's planes of value that are determining the edges of the objects as opposed to having just outlines to determine edges. So let's take a look. And when you get to start choosing your complex still life, you can really have fun with it. And you can do something hanging on the wall, or you can do something sitting on a table. But you can really have fun with. And this is also great. This is a Christmas ornament. And, you know, it's got the reflected light It's got the core of the shadow, the cast shadow over here, the reflected, I already said reflected light, the halftones. It's got all of the above. So you're really looking for a value. And value, essentially, value just means the relative lightness or darkness of an object. And value is all dependent, again, on that light source. Let's take a look at this final example of a drawing. Let's make it a little bigger. So this is another example. Look how these keys are determined, the edges of the keys are determined by these planes of value, not by an outline. So that is just, and you can do a lot of interesting things with the use of value. So have fun with it, and I look forward to seeing these final finished first still lives and really get in there. The other thing is, with value, you can start building up texture, and depending on what's in your still life, if you have a little cloth or you have a little texture somewhere, you can really play with that and build it up. So I hope this helps. I look forward to seeing these finished drawings, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with for the complex still life idea.